there is not enough quality information on the direction chocolate is going on the growing side. Welcome to Craft Chocolate TV. My name is Dylan.
My name is Greg D'Alessandro.
And we're going to talk about Cocoa Masterclass and education in the cocoa world.
Woohoo!
Kick it off, man.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm so excited about Cocoa Masterclass because one of the things that had been missing for a long time in the cocoa world and chocolate world is something that was more focused on cocoa. There's a lot of people that have really good programs around chocolate and learning about chocolate and tasting chocolate and these sort of things. But all of it sort of starts at maybe there'd be some like bean evaluation, but it's mostly focused around the chocolate side of things. And I think, we've spent a lot of time at a lot of cocoa farms, and cocoa producers constantly have questions about what to do about cocoa.
Yeah, we receive them all the time, and that has tended to drive a lot of the videos we've made on Craft Chocolate TV.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because it's Craft Chocolate TV, but I feel like more than half of the people who watch end up being people in cocoa more than there are people in chocolate.
True. We did this last season a lot of videos on things like grafting and how to ferment and how to build a fermentation box. Yep. Check out how to build a fermentation box. We've done a lot of videos on ag. Now we're starting to do more business and chocolate videos, but there is not enough quality information on the direction chocolate is going on the growing side.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also, as a chocolate maker, you can try lots of chocolate. It's like pretty straightforward. But as a cocoa producer, if you grow cocoa in Ecuador, most of the cocoa that you're tasting is Ecuadorian cocoa. Now, you might end up being able to taste chocolate that other people have made, but most of the cocoa you get is just like locally grown cocoa, and you end up getting like guidance and feedback and advice from other people locally. And not saying that's not useful, it's awesome, but I think giving more global context to people who want to grow cocoa is just super useful.
Sure. Everyone's in their own bubble for the most part. And that's one reason I love going to chocolate shows.
Oh, yeah.
It takes you entirely out of that and puts you in, whether it's the Northwest Chocolate Festival in Washington or the Salon de Chocolat in Paris or the Eurobean in Germany. You see a different pocket or the full industry at the salon at least. And that's really helpful for the direction of education within the chocolate company, as well as the beans that you want to source and the machines that you want to use.
Right.
So
I think, so the Cocoa Masterclass, Kit Kavelin from Cacao Latitudes is really the sort of the godmother of the Cocoa Masterclass. She's the person who sort of like pulled it all together and got it started. And I'm one of the instructors. So if you want to hang out with Greg, come to the Cocoa Masterclass.
Which section do you focus on?
I focus on the section where I keep everybody on track as the project manager, but also I talk about like the chocolate side of things. So it's funny, when I teach chocolate courses, I'm talking to people about cocoa, and then when I'm in a cocoa course, I talk to people about chocolate. I'm always the like.
Is that because Kate is kind of a badass when it comes to knowing a heck of a lot?
Yeah. So our instructors are like, Kate Kavelin knows so much, but also like world market, like world industry. She built a massive cocoa operation in Ecuador over the course of a decade. And so she both knows sort of specialty cocoa, but she also knows how like the markets themselves work. And I know when we were in Hawaii last year, you came to one of the days and it was...
Absolutely loved it. Yeah. It was so cool because as a craft chocolate maker, starting from craft chocolate and never having experience in the bigger industry, I've got very little idea of how that works.
Totally. Same.
So back in April, we were chatting about commodity prices going through the roof and where our forecasts were. And my understanding was so minimal. And it really made me realize I want to learn more about this. How does futures cocoa even work?
Right.
Why does it work that way? And yeah, very enlightening. And she was able to shed a lot of light on how the global market functions as well as the direction it's going.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people sort of see specialty cacao versus like commodity cacao as sort of two totally separate things, but it really in many ways is a spectrum. And different people are looking for different things out of what they're buying, certainly looking for different volumes as well. And, I think one of the things that really does happen is people end up, as you said, people are in their own bubbles. And so if you're in Ecuador, like most people growing cocoa in Ecuador are growing grafted cocoa, But like you go to another country, like, if you go to Ghana, and like there are pretty much no grafted trees in Ghana. That being said, they're very selective about the seeds of what crosses between what trees that they're planting. So it's like everywhere you go, people are approaching things differently. And so part of the goal of the Cocoa Masterclass is to give people a little bit more of that sort of global knowledge, but also with a sort of local context. And so in 2025, we're going to be doing what we call an Origin Cocoa Masterclass in Brazil. So it's 9 days long, and we're going to take you to Cocoa Research Center, cocoa farms, chocolate makers, and then there's a lot of classroom work. So it's an actual class. This isn't a vacation where someone chats with you periodically. This is a course.
How many days?
So 9 days total. So with an arrival and departure day. So 7 days of pretty intense coursework. But the goal is there's a lot that's going on in Brazil. So you want to know the local context of what's happening in Brazil, because whether you're a cocoa producer in Brazil or somewhere else in the world, it's useful to understand what's happening in Brazil.
I love that you guys are doing Brazil because it's such a fascinating place for cocoa, for the history of it, as well as the fact that it's a big producer but still needs to import because it consumes more than it can grow.
And they can only import Ghanaian cocoa. Right. So the only cocoa that everyone in Brazil works with is either Brazilian or Ghanaian, which is, again, sort of wild. The other thing that I think is unique and interesting about Brazil is because there are chocolate makers that have like their own cocoa plantations. What it means is that they make their own cocoa, make chocolate, get feedback on that chocolate, and then immediately turn that into feedback on what they're doing on the farm. So the different places you can visit in Brazil, you have a lot of people doing very experimental things in terms of the way they're fermenting and how they're approaching that. But also, Brazil is known for having witch's broom, a really sort of a disease that's really taken the industry. There's an article about witch's broom by Megan Giller. And, the thing about witch's broom is it means that there has to be really sort of aggressive tending of trees in Brazil to manage that disease. But it also means that in Brazil, you have people who are very good and know exactly what you need to do to manage a disease, which is something that, like, as disease is spreading to more and more parts of the world, it's really important people learn that kind of thing.
Yeah. Relevant right now. And on the topic of witch's broom, we've actually done a video on this when I was down there a few years ago with Tuta. Maybe we can put a link to that one in at that time. Right. But it was a good video that Tuta Aquina shared with us.
Yeah. So there's going to be a Cocoa Masterclass. We call it an Origin Masterclass in Brazil. It's 9 days. Then there are 2.5 day masterclasses in non-cocoa regions for people that might not be able to travel all the way to Brazil, but still want to have some of that coursework. And there's 4 of them next year. There's one in Australia right after Chalk Fest in Melbourne. All you Australians out there are going to tell me I did it wrong, and you're right. So one after Chalk Fest. We're going to do one in Hawaii in July. So we're coming back here. I think there was a lot of interest in having another one here. Then we're going to do one in San Francisco and one in Nantes, France. So
those are the short ones.
Those are the short ones. So we're doing 4 of the short ones.
And so there's one big one in Brazil per year, and then 4 shorts.
And where the big one is changes. So if you want to go to Brazil, go this year, because then the next year we're probably going to... So far we've been to the Dominican Republic. 2 years ago was Dominican Republic. This year, or last year was Dominican Republic. This year was Ghana, and then next year's going to be Brazil. So the long one we always do in a sort of different location.
Same teachers or professors?
Same instructors. One of the things we also are doing is we have a number of instructors that we work with because we want a variety of different opinions. We don't want a bunch of people who always talk to each other and always think the same way about everything. And so for the one in Brazil, Sarah Barrett, who is a really incredible cocoa expert, that I've known for many years, is going to be coming down there to teach it. And then Kate Cavlin's going to be there. I'll be there for part of it. And then we're also going to have Christy Leslie, who is an expert on sort of
good crew.
Yeah, world production. She's going to be putting some content together for it.
Well, that sounds like the right amount of education and total chocolate nerdiness with quite a bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. It's a good time. It's also good to like meet other people in the industry. The people who show up to it are chocolate makers, cocoa producers. Sometimes you get like somebody who's sort of like owns a chocolate store or sort of like working on their own cocoa course or something like that. But it's always a really interesting selection of people.
On a bit of a tangent, you guys are going to be stopping at Dango.
Yes. So Vale Putumajo and Dango are going to be two of our big stops in Brazil.
Both very impressive places. Been to both. Absolutely love them too.
Really, it's really beautiful. We're spending all of our time in Bahia, but we're going to be able to check out a number of different places in Bahia.
Cool. Well, this channel is very geared toward education, so we're super happy to collaborate and promote this. Yeah. There is a discount code. If you watch this, you can type in Learn Cocoa in the Cocoa Masterclass website, and you'll get 5% off.
So we'll put that down at the bottom of the screen right here, right? Learn Cocoa, right? I'm looking at Justice, and he's shaking his head no. So Learn Cocoa.
And then if there's anything else you want to add, but
I'm really excited.
I did get to experience the short Hawaii version, and it was such a wonderful experience for somebody who is passionate about chocolate and wanted to continue to educate myself on it. So yeah, this is another episode of Craft Chocolate TV.
Thank you very much.
Aloha.